Welcome to another Maine SBDC webinar. My name is Kelsey Reardon, and I am with the state office hosted by USM. And we are joined today by Terri Swanson, who is our HR specialist. We've done a series of HR related webinars over the last few months. And today we're talking about team building within your small business. So we're so glad that you joined us. It's going to be very interactive. So get your team building questions ready, because Terri likes to specialize things around what you guys want to learn about. So we're very lucky to have her yet again. If you're not familiar with the Maine SBDC, we are the Small Business Development Centers, and we are a essentially federally funded program that provides no cost to you confidential business advising. And so we can help your small business with just about any question you could possibly have about small businesses. And if we can't answer your question, we can find somebody who can. So we can't give legal or accounting advice, but we can give you a list of lawyers and accountants who could certainly help you out in those realms. Please use the chat feature for any questions along the way. But Terri likes to let you guys unmute and ask your questions so that we really kind of get to know one another. But the chat is fine also if you're more comfortable with that. We are recording today's session, so I'll send out a follow-up email today that will include a link to the recording. So if you have, if there's something that you're like, oh, I missed that, you can rewind the recording. So just feel free to listen and engage in the conversation today. That follow-up email will also include all of our contact information. So if you are not set up with a business advisor, it'll be a very easy link to click and we can get you set up. We have advisors and centers throughout the state, so we can get you connected with the closest advisor to you. However, we're still doing most things via Zoom, so we can also get you connected with someone who specializes maybe in your industry or the particular issue you're struggling with or something along those lines. I will just make a note, there is construction going on in my building today, so I apologize in advance for any disturbances, and we're hoping that everything just goes along smoothly. But just so you have a heads up. Otherwise, I think we are ready to get started today, so I will pass it over to Terri.
Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be here with you today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to pop in here with us and have a bit of dialogue and conversation around effective team building. Whether we are a sole entrepreneur or where have team members, I think that some of the content that we talk about today will be very beneficial and helpful to everyone. I can share with you that I'm a solopreneur. I don't have anyone working in my business, but I can assure you that it takes a full team out around me to make my business work. So while I'm the only employee, I cannot do this without the team of people, Kelsey being one of those people on my team that helps me to be successful in the work I do and growing and developing my business. So just keep that in mind, that we have internal teams and external teams, and it's important that they're all effective for the work that we're doing. And so I always love to begin, and if those of you have been in any of our webinars, then you probably might know this, but I am a huge Stephen Covey fan. And his second highly effective habit is to begin with the end in mind. And so with that, I like to pose the question to all of you today. Is there a particular question that you've come to this webinar today hoping to get an answer to, or maybe not necessarily an answer, but some insight or information regarding a particular area on a team or what have you that you might be challenged with, or something that's very successful for you that others can benefit from? And there's no right or wrong to this question. I just like to make sure your questions help the rest of the team here today learn more as well. So did anybody have a particular question or something weighing on their mind around team building?
Feel free to unmute yourself.
Yes, you can just unmute yourself and jump in.
Sure, I can go.
Thank you.
We run a remote business, so people work from home or in the community. We do have an office, but it's rarely used. So I guess I'm looking for some suggestions on how to create that sense of belonging and a culture and a team when we're not necessarily physically next to each other.
Awesome. And Krista, is it Krista?
Krista.
Krista,
Yeah.
That's a fantastic question. And I will definitely make sure and touch upon that, because I do have some thoughts and ideas to share from just my experience of other remote businesses or companies that operate remotely. So I'll definitely share a few things with you on that. Thank you. Anyone else?
I can go. I always debate whether to sign up for these things, you know, depending based on what my plans are. But I think it's exactly in the realm of what I'm doing this year, because we had for many years a successful Reiki practice collaborative with a number of different practitioners involved in it at different work sites, different locations. And when the pandemic arrived, all of that had to be suspended. So I'm reviving it this year, you know, with COVID precautions, but also reaching out to a potentially new audience. So I'm kind of delaying or holding off until I feel really confident within myself that I can really create a what I call like a safe container for everybody to practice and participate. So this seemed like a good topic.
Yeah, Jeffrey, that's really great, and I appreciate that very much. And just a little clarity on this. So, are you looking to build enhancement with your clients or via Zoom, or are you looking to for your team that works with you, providers, or both?
So we're the team that works with me, the providers, and we're working. My plan anyway is to find ways to do in-person sessions safely with a new understanding of effective COVID precautions.
Right.
Massage therapists and other practitioners were allowed to go back into practice in July of 2020 using certain protocols. But now, 2 years later, we understand a lot more, and especially the importance of ventilation and air filtering. So that's got to be part of my planning and practice, and appealing to a wide community of practitioners who may have different ideas about the pandemic themselves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a big one. Yeah. That's a really big one, and it's interesting too, because they are a team of providers, and so how do we effectively, certainly safely, bring people together as a team, to provide services? And so that's a good one. Good question. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I'll do my best to offer up a few thoughts and suggestions on that as well. Yeah. So, it's very interesting. Something that I've always thought was kind of, and I say this kindly, an oxymoron is I've heard so many times that there's no I in team, except for a team is made up of individuals. And so there's the I. I mean, you can't have a team without individuals. And so I've always kind of chuckled at that because truthfully, a team, the word team certainly does not have, the I in it. And the acronym for team, is together everyone achieves more. And that's so very, very true. But reality is a team is made up of a group of individuals. And when you bring more than one individual into the equation, you have some differences of opinion, you have different personalities, you have different beliefs. And so when we come into working with people and we join a team or we become part of a team, it's very interesting because learning to adjust to the various different personalities and the various different beliefs can certainly pose a challenge for people. But in my experience, when we, again, I'm just going to speak today to business owners. As business owners, when we are bringing new people into our businesses, new employees or contractors or what have you, as we're building our team, it's always important to try to put in the center the goal, the common goal that this team is expected to achieve or has been set for this team to achieve. And, we all often think of a sports team and, it may be that, it's a new team and, their goal this year is to just, that they have 12 games. Their goal this year might be to win 6. It may not be that they set the goal to win the championship, but they're establishing at least a common goal that everyone on that team can see. They know the mission of why we're doing what we're doing. And so for us, it's important as business owners to be sure that we are establishing trust. I'm much more apt to contribute greater to a team if I trust my team leader or if I feel accepted, feel comfortable, feel that my contributions are worthy. And so as business owners, trust is something that's very important for us to establish with people coming in to our workplaces. And some of that trust around, how to build that trust with our people is starts right from the very beginning of when we're recruiting people. Letting people know the type of workers that we're looking for, or in the interviewing process. And this kind of goes back to a couple of our webinars before, but when we're building a team, we need to identify what we're looking for in the way of strengths, in team members. And so my point of sharing that is bringing in the right people on the team is really important. Making sure that that's, diversified. We don't want to hire someone that's exactly like us with the same strengths that we have, or, the same weaknesses, because it's going to make a very unbalanced, team. And so when I think about establishing trust for me in my own business, as I continue to grow, I make sure that I'm a good, role model, and I make sure that, I am, doing the things that I'm asking other people to do, because many of us here today, I'm sure, have followed leaders or bosses that we haven't really, we haven't trusted them. We haven't felt a sense of trust. And, for that reason, maybe we don't want to follow them. So I think looking at ourselves first and foremost, making sure that we're being patient with people, making sure that we're being transparent, making sure that we're sharing what is the goal what's the vision of this team? And so, offering up a sense of clarity and transparency with the people that are coming onto our team is so important. And what that does is it also offers them, again, that sense of trust. It's important that underneath that, building of trust, that we have a good environment, that our culture is that of a good one, making sure that people feel included in everything that we're doing, right down to making some of the decisions for our business. It's amazing how smart and intelligent and creative the people we have on our team. But as owners of our businesses, we oftentimes feel that we're responsible, or we feel that we have to be in control of a lot of the things that we're doing, when in reality, we're delegating tasks to an employee says that I trust you. I might say, Jeff, I have a new task that I'm going to, I'm going to start sharing with you, because you're really strong in this particular area. And I just really could use some help, in my own roles. Well, that to me, right out of the gate, is when someone does that for me or offers those types of opportunities for me, it says that they trust me. So I'm giving you trust, and which in turn, employees and people who work for us will give us trust. The second thing that comes to mind is understanding yourself. I'm sure we all recognize here today that we have weaknesses as well. We might not always see them because we're looking out, but we too have weaknesses, and we need to recognize. I just say, and weaknesses as in maybe we're not as organized as we want to be, or maybe we're tend to be a little cluttery and what have you. And so people coming into our teams and joining our workplaces, those are things that may deter someone, because they like to be organized, and then they see us disorganized, and so again they start to lose that sense of trust. But the thing with knowing ourselves is we also have personalities, and we have introverts, we have extroverts, we have people that are controlling and people that are not controlling, and people who feel that it's their responsibility to do everything, and what have you. And so when we're mixing various different personalities into our team, we've got to have patience with those types of things. We need to be a bit more open. We need to just, recognize that, if I have a very strong personality, well, example being, I'm a very expressive person. So my face usually gives away exactly how I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, and I tend to use my hands a lot and what have you. And so my personality is very bubbly, and sometimes, people are like, you're way too Pollyanna. And I say, well, I can't help it. I always love to see the good in things, and very motivated. Well, when I'm working with someone who is very stoic and very reserved, very quiet, not a thing wrong with any of that, but I can immediately detect and pick up that I need to adjust my personality, or my need to adjust how I'm communicating or what have you with this person in a bit of a different way, for the simple fact that, these two personalities may clash just a bit. And so as long as we know our own personalities, and we're able to just, and not necessarily not be who you are, because we are who we are, but just to be aware that our personalities can sometimes be very, very strong, or they can be a personality that's very, kind of quiet, and make a person feel like maybe, there's not just a good connection between us. But teams have, if you have a team of, 15 people, you're going to have some definitely different personalities. I'm number 6 of 7 children. And we were raised as a team. So we knew team right out of the gate. But I have a couple of brothers that are, they're jokesters, and their personalities have been that way forever. And so we've always, been a bit, we get annoyed with them easy because we don't think they're taking things serious when they really truly are. It's just that's their personality, on our team. And so recognizing that we may need to adjust our personalities a little bit, in the workplace with our people, just so that we're conscious of that. Another is understanding others. This to me, I think, is one of the most, not necessarily most challenging pieces of a team, building effective teams. But again, it goes back to the personalities, it goes back to the styles of communication. When we are more than one person and we're communicating with 15 other people, we're going to read a lot of body languages. We're going to get a lot of different quick assessments by looking at people's responses to what's going on or what have you. And, it can certainly cause a bit of, dysfunction on a team, or it can certainly cause confusion in the way of, the way we're communicating, or the styles of communication. And to me, that again is active listening. Like, it's important that, again, Jeff, you're my hypothetical today, so using your, you as that. But if Jeffrey's joining my team and I've hired him to do a position, it's really important for me to get to know Jeffrey. It's important for me as the owner to get to know his communication style. It's important for me to get to know his personality, so that when I do need to call upon myself thinking, why is he acting, why is he behaving this way? It may be that he's behaving, in a manner to which I'm a bit confused because he's not responding to what I've asked him to do. Well, maybe it's because he heard what I said and he doesn't need to respond. And so, as long as I know Jeffrey, and I know his personality, and I know his communication style, it really truly adds tremendous value, to a team, because I'm not always looking for, why is he doing this, or why is that, or I saw him give me that look. If I get to know him in the beginning of our work relationship, then I'm going to understand more about him. I often think when we are thinking about understanding others, when we're interviewing people, it's always nice to ask, nothing wrong with asking a person, how do you like to communicate? Because everyone communicates very differently. I'm a person that likes you to just tell me the way it is. You don't have to, beat around the bush and be afraid to say, something or what have you. I'm all good with you just saying, Terri, sometimes your voice is just a little stronger and it makes me a little more, nervous or what have you. But if we can learn how our people like to communicate, it really helps to build trust once again on our teams. It helps to minimize a bit of the confusion that we might have in the way of not understanding each other. We all have different viewpoints. People's, opinions can be very different, but if we're again going back to the beginning of establishing what the goal is in our business, whether it's to, provide exceptional service to our customers, and oh, by the way, our product is whoopie pies. And so making sure that we say, our goal here at, I love wicked whoopies, so don't have many of them often, but I love to have one. But if they're saying that their common goal is to provide a top-notch product by providing exceptional customer service, then how do we get to that goal? Well, the we is the key. And so everyone's strengths are going to contribute to that ultimate goal, which for me, again, goes back to, as the business owner, I need to know my people. I need to understand my people. And so, the more clarity I can, bring to myself by getting to know them adds a lot of value to the team. And once again, it brings a sense of trust, from people. It's so important that our people that we hire are coming into our businesses with a lot of creativity. I have just been absolutely in awe at some of the most amazing ideas that new people coming into our business. I was a hotel, I was the human resource director of a hotel for 8 years. We were always looking to provide, another layer of service, or we were always looking to facilitate a memorable experience with our guests. And we would just do little round tables with a housekeeper and a maintenance person and a front desk person. And we would just bring a team of people together at a table, and we would put a topic in the middle of the table, and we would just start brainstorming that topic. And that was there were so many layers of wonderful things in doing just something like that. But what we really took great pride in was that we worked hard to build trust among our team. And so because we did build trust among our team, people felt really open. People felt that they could say whatever it was that they wanted to say, at that table. There was no bad idea. And so because people felt like they could there was a sense of trust, their openness to their thoughts and ideas. Some of our greatest implementations of ideas came from those roundtables, from sitting at that table and just relying on our people for their input. And people just absolutely, rarely did we ever have someone say, no, I don't want to participate in that. People were anxious. People would say, oh my gosh, the next time you guys do a company roundtable, can I be part of it? And so because we really stepped out, making sure that we really built a sense of trust around the table, to be able to have our people share input. We see our businesses one way, and our people see our businesses another way. And to me, that's where that team building comes together, is when we can praise our people for all the great things that they're doing, and redirect our people when we want, when they're, behaving in a manner that's not bringing value to our team, or they're not contributing in the manner to which is getting us to our common goal. And when people trust you to redirect them, if I were to say, Jeffrey, I'm not really sure, what's going on in, your world, but I just noticed that, your behavior the last couple of weeks has not been what I'm used to, from Jeffrey. And so, I'm just curious what's going on, and, give him the opportunity to share with me, maybe he's got something going on at home, or maybe he has some concerns about finances, or, what have you. And that's really, caused his behavior or his attitude to be a little bit differently. Well, if he knows I care about him, then he's going to allow me as the owner or the leader to help redirect him in a different way, in the way of that behavior. But, it's when we are, having to discipline a team member, or we are having to, guide them in a different way, or I call it redirecting, because oftentimes I myself need redirecting from teammates. And I'm so grateful that I'm open to being redirected. But I just say that caring about our people, caring about each person on that team, and them knowing that you care about them. And remember, caring about a person doesn't mean that we don't redirect people. It's because I care about you that I'm redirecting you, or I'm bringing up to, having a conversation about, maybe your potential performance or behavior, from the past. And so just being very mindful, again, of building trust, understanding yourself, understanding others. And the fourth item that is very important on a team is defining roles and setting ground rules. If you hire me and I come to work for you and you say, well, you're just gonna, you know what, I just want you to show up at 8 o'clock, every morning, and, we got to run the shop, and, I'll show you how to do the cash register as, we go about, and hopefully you're a quick learner, and then, we just kind of put people into place and we have them, off they go. Well, that's really not very clear on what my role is in your business or as your employee. And so job descriptions are really important in helping to set the expectations and to be clear on what my role and responsibility is as an employee, but also my role and responsibility as a member of this team. And so it's interesting, I believe that we think in words. And so when we don't use words that we need to use, we're not necessarily thinking in that manner. I love to use the word team whenever we're doing any sort of interviewing, or we're doing any sort of hiring. For me, it's all about the team. I ask questions about, what does it mean to be on a team to you? Like, what does it mean to be part of a team? Because it really helps me to understand what people's, thoughts are of being on a team. It may be that someone says, well, I've really never been part of a team. I'm an only child. And, in high school, in school, when I did sports, I always did individual sports. Well, just because they're saying those things doesn't mean we think, well, geez, we can't have somebody like that because we need team players. Individual people raised, as an only child or individually can still add a tremendous amount to a team. So we might just ask, so what do you feel that you have, what are your strengths for contributions on a team? Because we really, truly, again, we want to set the stage for the fact that we are a team and we work together as a team, and our business relies on our team. So you just using the word team is something that I think that makes a much different mindset for people using it and people receiving it, because it sets an expectation. But not only that, it shares the fact that we have, roles in being on a team. And the importance of it. I think every team needs ground rules. One of those ground rules might be that we are a team that's always ready to hit the field at 8 o'clock. So that doesn't mean, coming through the door at 8 o'clock in the morning or and expecting to be ready to go to work. And so when we have these conversations with people, I have clients that actually have a set of team rules that they share with every person they hire. And they sign the bottom of it stating they understand these ground rules or these team rules, and they certainly can abide by them. And so, they review those, it might be 5 things, it might be 4 things, but it's they sign them so that they become kind of like a bit of guiding principles or ground rules of what we have to be mindful of as owners is that when other people see us coming in at 8:30, not recognizing that we've been at a meeting since 7:30, we've been working, we just haven't been there. So it's important to make sure that we are, communicating to our teams our own work schedules if we're going to set ground rules, because once they see, and again, it's their perception that we didn't come in until 8:30, but it's important that we set the stage for the performance that we want our people, our employees, to see. And if that stage isn't set for a great performance, then that's what they're going to be seeing from their side, of this, team or work-related relationship. Shall I hold out for a minute and see if there's any questions? I know I get going on this and get passionate about it. Wonderful. And so with defining roles and setting ground rules, people need to know what our vision, our mission, our purpose is, because it's really important that our roles in the workplace play a huge role in our goals. It plays a huge role in the success of our businesses. If I know what's expected of me and my role is defined, if I'm a salesperson in the company and my role is to provide, say, a customer service and to provide an avenue for people to purchase things in our company, and my role is sales, I'm out there selling our product. It's then I'm going to be more successful in doing my job than if I don't understand what it is that you expect from me. So again, just go back to that, the job descriptions, and a job description doesn't in any way have to be this, huge formal, document or what have you. It just needs to outline what the duties and responsibilities are that you have hired me to do, so that when you are evaluating me, or if you are following up on the work I'm doing, then I've seen what the expectations are. Because if there's things that you expect me to do that I don't know, then how can I fulfill my part of being on this team if I don't know what that role is? Helping, efficiency. That might be one of those, a ground rule that you set, here at, Dunkin' Donuts, where a team that works very efficient. Efficient means that we support each other. Efficient means that if you see an opportunity to improve a process that can allow us to serve our customers better or can be more effective for our team, by all means, share your input. We're very open to it. Our attitudes, we all have a role and a responsibility on the team to bring a good attitude. It's interesting with teams I think of, or even just workplaces, but there are two words that have always stood out to me, and it's the skill and the will. The skill being, does this person have the skill to do the job that we're hiring them for? But more importantly, do they have the will to do the job? I can teach you the skill to do the job, but I can't teach you the behaviors or the attitude. That's something that I can influence, but I can't teach you that. And so, each team member needs to have a good attitude. It needs to be one of those, a can-do attitude. Because certainly, I think you all might agree that our attitudes certainly drive our behaviors. And that in itself can be a bit challenging as well. But staying, connected to that, and if there's a sense of trust on the team, and I need to share with you that, your attitude for the past few days has not been, adequate for the business, or it's been a bit off. And then, I might ask you what's going on and give you that opportunity to share with me what's going on in the way of, my attitude. Again, I say that, we all have this thing called life and outside of work, and various different things can get in the way to kind of skew our attitudes into a bit of a different way. I believe that we all have what are called invisible backpacks, and we bring them to work every day, and we bring them, to our team every day. And, there can be that invisible backpack for people can be really heavy and really full with a lot of things going on in their own personal lives at home. And you can't see them. And I'm private, so I'm not sharing them with you, but it's really consuming my mind, or it's really causing me to feel really weighed down. And so sometimes, as the team captain or the leader of the team, when I go back to saying the importance of understanding others, recognizing, a shift in a person's behavior or a shift in their attitude could likely be that they've got some outside influences that are, or outside, challenges or what have you, that are really weighing them down. While we don't want to, pry or get involved in people's lives in any more than they would want us to, it's, if they just at least said, I have a lot of things going on at home, or I've got some personal challenges that I'm trying to work through. And so I apologize if my attitude has been a little bit, off these past few weeks, but thank you for caring enough about me to check in. Because we really need to nurture our teammates and our team members, because we need them, especially as small business owners. If we only have 5 people on our team, everyone's contributions are really, really important to continue to have. The last one I just want to touch upon is the effective teams are able to give and accept feedback. I love feedback. I think it's so important. It's how we grow. It's how we develop. But we also need to be able to accept feedback. And so if we have people that are on our team and we're the captain or we're the leader of the team, and making sure that we have a trusting environment to where people can say, hey, Jeffrey, you ask us to be on time every day, but I just see that you're, often don't follow that same ground rule. And it kind of affects our team, because sometimes, the leadership or the direction that we need in the morning to get our team off and running, we don't have that. And so sometimes we're all just kind of hanging out, waiting for direction, and then, we need to just, say, thank you. Thank you so much for, caring enough to bring that to my attention. You're absolutely right. And then we may offer up some sort of reason why we're late that's, understandable or what have you, because people are watching us. We all know that, don't we? Yeah, all of our teammates, they're watching us all the time. But I think that Ken Blanchard says feedback is the breakfast of champions. And I believe that. I absolutely love that. And I'm a person that has, grown over the years to just really welcome feedback. I don't take it personal. I take it, in a good way, even though there have been times people give me feedback and they just really want to get a dig in, but I still just smile and say, thank you. I appreciate that. There could be something in that I might need to, keep in mind. And so when we're again, I go back to the first one, when we build a trusting environment, feedback is something that will just continue to grow and develop that type of trust among us. Performance reviews are a great opportunity for us to provide our teammates, our team members with feedback. But I think it's also a really wise thing, to sit down with our employees, maybe on a biannually, and just say, I really wanted to just sit down with you and share and receive a bit of feedback. How are we doing here? How do you think we're doing? And then how do you think, what are your thoughts? How am I doing? How am I serving you as your leader? Let them go first, and then we can do the same thing, and it's give some positives and give some redirecting, our challenges. I always like to use the word challenges because, nobody wants to, use, well, let's talk a little bit about your weaknesses. I think it's a little easier to be able to say, here are some areas that I'd like to challenge you, to learn more about, or, to grow in. And then we can share those areas, whether it's, attitude, or whether it's product knowledge or technology or what have you, but we all need something to grow in and to be working on. I think of, the Patriots. I'm sure every team member on there has, 1, 2, 3 areas that they're being challenged to work, grow, and develop all the time. Yeah, so those are kind of the 5 points that I wanted to, bring to you in the way of an effective team. I'm going to just quickly jump back into Krista's, create a sense of belonging from a more virtual world. There's some really cool creative things that people are doing today in the way of, team, virtual learning or virtual teaching or connecting. But one of the things I really love are the team huddles. And so, Krista, and again, I'm just going on a hypotheticals, but, if I were you and I had 6 team members that made up my team, and everything that we did was virtual, even, among us and maybe among our clients, and it's an online, I would have a standard twice a week, 30-minute team huddle. And I'd have an agenda or a bit of an outline in that. And I wouldn't lead it all the time. I would have other people lead it as well, so that, remember, delegating makes people feel that you trust them. And so, allow people to, stay within a structure, but allow them to contribute or bring a bit of their own personality into it. It's one of those areas where we're not taking control as the owner or as the leader, but we're delegating and sharing that responsibility among our whole team. Maybe pick a topic that's within your business. Maybe it's a topic, maybe it's team building. We have a tendency to, as humans, to just stay focused on the product all the time. Krista, this is something that we do virtually and in check-ins, and we would ask 2 questions, and we would have great dialogue on it, and people really loved it. But we would talk about what's going well. What are we doing in our business that's going well? I mean, it can be everything from where well, I think as a team, we're all being very respectful to each other, or, here's something I tried last week in my meeting with a client and it went so well, got great feedback on it. And so just kind of go around the room. You might go around 3 times because maybe you're doing a lot of things well. And so that's kind of bringing a sense of motivation and positivity to the work we're doing. And then the second question might be, what could we be doing better? I mean, we can all, as human beings, I sit here with you all today and I could give you 5 things right out of the gate that I could be doing better. It doesn't mean I'm less than, it doesn't mean I'm not doing good things, but there are 5 things that I could be doing better. And so one of the questions might be, with Zoom, this is reality and this is what we're doing. Has anybody seen anything cool going on, or, what have you in the way of Zoom that can add value to what we're doing? But the 2 questions for me, what are we doing well and what could we be doing better? It really brings your team into the conversation. And it's really beneficial. You'd be surprised at how, when we don't ask people questions, people don't always volunteer information. And sometimes we say, well, how come you never told us that before? And their response is, because you never asked me. And that's very legit. And then Jeffrey, I just think that, same with your, and Krista, does that help you a little bit?
So we're already doing some of that, and it
Okay.
just feels like we're not getting the, because I'm already doing like the huddles.
Yeah.
We're not doing them twice a week, but
Yeah.
we're already doing the huddles and regular check-in meetings, but it seems like people are choosing not to participate.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so if you are you the leader? Is it
Yeah,
your business?
yeah,
Yeah. So are you paying all these people to be employees?
yeah.
Yeah. So there's no question. There's no option of participation. You know, it's one of those, just, and then maybe if you just even talk in the way of a team and you say, we're a team and we work together, and maybe I need to be better at allowing you all, and I'm just using this again as a hypothetical, to contribute more to this team. Your input is really important to me. It's important to all of us. And so when we don't participate, it can make things a little more challenging. Sometimes we have to kind of prompt, give a few of those, prompting things to make people, begin to talk. And when I was saying, do you pay them? That would be a conversation between you and I, not necessarily you and them. But I was just saying, like, if there are employees and we set the expectations that everyone participates, it's important. It means a lot to me that we're all, have voices in what we're doing and what we're doing well. Sometimes you can have fun too, and we do a, you can theme a little meeting or something so that it becomes a little more fun and not just so status quo or what have you. Maybe you're going to have, crazy hat meeting or something, and then it becomes a little more fun and people feel a little more, that it's not always rigorous when we come and what have you. And the other thing I love is names. I love using people's names. So I love to say, Kelsey, I know you're very creative. I know you've got, value to add to this conversation. What are your thoughts on this, Kelsey? Like being a little bit more, not calling me out, but calling me out, in a safe way, not calling me out, pick out something that a strength of every person on your team. Yeah. And Jeffrey,
I was just going to interrupt and say Terri did a very good job of talking about how to bring people to a table to have these conversations, be it positive or negative. In, I believe, your first session. I can't remember which one exactly, but I did create an HR playlist on our YouTube channel. So this will be on that playlist. So in theory, at the end of the recording, it'll be like, do you want to watch another video? And maybe it'll be that one. But it's interesting how that's come up in almost every session so far, is that the conversation with everyone being so important.
Yeah, well, I think you've got to, and thank you, Kelsey. Thank you for that, because it is true. We have got to continue to be creative all the time. We get very, very, very habitual. I was in a meeting with a company that they just started doing team huddles about maybe, I don't know, 8 weeks ago. And yesterday when we were there, I heard a comment from one of the employees, and she said, these are getting so redundant. Like it's boom, 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 everybody leaves. So I was like, oh, okay, then we got to start doing something. So I suggested to them, can we not leave any team huddle without action items being replayed? So, let's recap at the end of every team huddle, whose action item is what. And it doesn't have to be me recapping it. We can just say, let's go around the room. Raise your hand if you have action items from this meeting today. And so everybody raises their hand that has action items. And then I would say, as the leader, Krista, what are your action items from today's meeting? And then Krista would say A, B, C. And then I would go to Jeffrey and say, Jeffrey, what are your action items from today's meeting? And Jeffrey would say, actually, Terri, I don't have any action items today. I'm following up on an action item from last week's meeting. And then we kind of go around the room and just bring a little bit of a different flavor, a little bit of a different, added something to the team huddle, so that, again, it makes us efficient, because when everybody knows, what their action item is, then we can hold them more accountable, or they're going to even hold themselves a bit more accountable to the action item. And Jeffrey, real quickly, I want to just be able to say, in the way of, good practices, or, when it comes to doing, like, the service type Zooms, or whether it's in person or out of person, we a lot of businesses are doing things differently based on what their needs are with this whole CDC guidelines and COVID and what have you. I don't have a magic answer to any of it, but I would just say that the businesses that I work with, they're all a bit unique, and they're all, while some are doing maybe the top 3 similar to everyone else's, the bottom 3 parts of their process might be different because it's tailored to their businesses. But I think at the very least, when we're working with people, it's very important that we follow the CDC guidelines, because they put them in place, for good reasons, and to be, for safety purposes. And I think if we're serving people, people are expecting, at the very minimum, that we're practicing the CDC guidelines. So if we have additional, measures in place to keep our people safe, I think that's, up to each individual business based on what you have. I myself I see an acupuncturist, and we actually Zoom the first part of our meeting, which is perfect for me. And then when I get to the table, it's a bit, we have masks on, and it's all good. But she's adjusted her business to meet her needs, and to meet the needs of her customers and what have you. And it works very smoothly for me as the customer. And so, but then, I go get my nails done, and it's a much different, there's a shield up there, and there's this. And so I think from, a service industry, it's a bit different. I know you all know that we've had quite a ramp up. I was with a business yesterday, and they have 11 people out with COVID. And so that's just really raising huge, challenges for them, because they're a processing center, manufacturing center. But they know they just got to get through this, doing everything they can to keep their people safe, and what have you. But in the same sense, I don't know that I have a magical, suggestion or offer to be able to make that all happen.
Not to worry. I've got some pretty specific things, and I've got funding for, measures above. I really need to go above and beyond CDC guidelines because of the nature of what we do.
Right.
We have physical contact, the same as with your acupuncturist.
Yeah.
So I have masks, high quality masks that I can hand out to people who don't have one, that are coming for a treatment session, and also some DIY approaches for effective air filtering, because these services are going to be performed between 2 people in a small room.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we have to, and we certainly don't want to be like the manufacturing business you're talking about, and suddenly have practitioners, calling in sick, or being a vector of infection for whatever locations that we're serving. That would be a good way to,
well, I trust that there's
collapse.
There's enough people out there doing it. So I'm quite confident that, there's some good resources out there today for you to follow up with. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm on top of them. Thank you.
Good deal. How about some other questions? I know we're running at the end of our time here, but how about anybody else with some questions, or was the information I've shared with you useful or helpful, or anybody find any value in it? Shane, how about you? Did you find this to be useful, valuable?
Yeah, I found some of it interesting. A lot of what you were driving at seems like I'm a newer entrepreneur to this, so but my full-time career, we do a lot of this leadership, and you are a part of a team. It's imperative, and what the work that we do is very team oriented. But what you were driving at really sounded a lot like culture. For some people listening, it sounds like you have to establish the culture of your agency or your business or what you're trying to achieve to get your coworkers to buy into that vision, that viewpoint that you want to achieve or have that success at. But one thought I was thinking about for Krista from Summit.
Thank you.
When you have like remote teams where I work with multiple people at remote locations, or not necessarily at the same location as us on site, talking with them, getting them to have that input, and then tagging them to assignments that are in their purview that they're either really interested in or they have a personal investment into, so that they'll have that buy-in and want to be a part of that huddle meeting versus turning it into a, oh, we have to do that morning meeting thing again because it's, you know, the boss says. It's not so much about the boss, it's about I want the people around me to have buy-in to make all of us better, not just I want us to hold hands and sing Kumbaya and make something nice, you know.
Yeah.
No, it was good. It was interesting. This is the first thing I've done with you guys, small business from Maine. So cool.
Nice. Well, we're really happy that you joined us, and you know, it is we really appreciate it. I think these kind of conversations help, and I always like to share that. I don't know about you all, but I'm about PowerPoint presentationed out. Like, I don't know that I can sit in another PowerPoint for a while. So I just really thought this type of you know, just open dialogue and conversation and more interactive-y, you know, would serve you all in a good way. Krista, I'm going to leave you with one last thought because it just popped into my head. You might consider an outside source. Doesn't have to be a paid one. I've got 3 mentors that I could reach out to. But Krista, you might ask an outside source to sit in on one of your team huddles and see if maybe they have some sort of other, you know, observation or some suggestions, or, you know, maybe they might say the tone of the meeting is really, you know, not the tone you might want to set, or as Shane mentioned, you know, the culture in the meeting doesn't feel inclusive, or, you know, it's really you talking and doing all the directing. I'm not saying that, I'm just using that, but you might get some really good input from an outside person just sitting in and observing a meeting or two of yours. Yeah. Well, I thank you all so much. I'm really honored to be here with all of you today. And again, as a HR consultant, I'm very blessed to serve a lot of small businesses and medium-sized businesses for various different HR needs and team building and leadership workshops and all of those types of things. And if I can offer any services to any of you here today, I'd be more than delighted to. And Kelsey will share my contact information when she sends you the follow-up. But I really wish you all the very, very best. It's not easy being a business owner. It's not easy being an entrepreneur. And quite honestly, it's just not easy, you know, trying to put this all together. So I really appreciate all the great work you're all doing. And thank you so much. I hope you'll join us for future webinars that we put together.
And I'll add on to that. Thank you, Terri. It's always a pleasure having you. And so we're thrilled that you've all found her helpful yet again. So yes, I will send out my follow-up email later today. That will include all of that contact information. And we can definitely get everybody connected with some mentors. This is great. This is, you know, we love to see everyone getting to know one another on top of the assistance that we can provide. So feels like a excuse my expression, but a whole bunch of birds got killed today. So we're doing the best we can. We hope that everyone has a lovely afternoon, and we will see you at the next event.
Yeah, awesome. Bye-bye, everyone. Stay healthy, stay safe, and stay a happy summer.